Good afternoon. My name is Phil Albano, and I'm manager of the LCIF Site Programs Department. It's my pleasure to host this interview session with select members of the Corporate Social Responsibility panel that has just concluded. Here we hope to address matters that may not have been addressed during the panel or dig a bit deeper into those that were. And I'm pleased to be joined now with Dr. Hunter Cherwek, who is Medical Director, Strategic Markets, Alcon Laboratories in their Beijing office. Doctor, welcome.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Pleasure. One of the things that I'd like to explore with you is human resources, and particularly whether Alcon has any kind of employee engagement programs that they employ for CSR activities.
Yes, absolutely. In fact, that's a big part of our corporate culture. We really focus on the people development piece and making sure they're engaged with our mission and our overall products. We have that both domestically within the United States as well as internationally. I can tell you one of the greatest programs we have is some of our biomedical engineers come out and work with some of the NGOs for training and for service delivery of the equipment so that the technicians in these hospitals can continue to use the Alcon products and technology to help those patients. So I think the overall Alcon organization and the people are very engaged with our mission and really trying to add value to our customers in the areas that they're needed most.
And have you done any research perhaps on employee satisfaction relative to these kind of programs?
Absolutely, and I think that's one of the things people like about the Alcon organization is that they feel very tied to the mission. I think everyone in some way or another has been linked to a family member or a friend who's been affected by vision loss. And knowing that what you do every day has a life-transforming event for those people, it's really incredible, especially in the areas that are needed most.
Would you say that when you think about Alcon and CSR, would you say is that those skills, that knowledge that you're able to transfer is more important than perhaps any financial transactions or gifts, grants?
Yeah, I think the most important resource is the human resource, and I think people are always what drive any organization. And so that's why so much of our development and some of our sponsored NGOs really focus on the capacity building initiatives within those countries to build human resources, to transfer intellectual capital so that it's not just the technology, but you're really looking at the skills and the systems that are needed to maintain and maximize that technology and products to help the most people. To have the greatest impact, it's always the people who are executing on the ground, and we really feel that that should be transferred to the local communities where it's needed most.
And you mentioned NGO partners, and I think what's particularly unique, or what was particularly unique about your presentation is the fact that you have a foot in the medical world as an ophthalmologist, have worked with one of the leading eye care organizations, Orbis, and now working with Alcon. Our audience is generally going to be NGO, from the NGO sector. Is there anything that you would like to convey to them relative to working with the for-profit sector based on your past experience?
I think regardless of your audience, I think being able to communicate your mission clearly, being able to differentiate what you do and how you measure that is critical. I think so many people today are no longer looking for a charitable donation, but looking at a social investment. And I think it's critical for the partner who's looking for support or another partner to be able to speak very clearly that this is what our mission is, this is what we expect, and this is how we achieve those goals, and looking for alignment in philosophy, competencies, and obviously strategies. I think the communication is the key piece, no matter what organization or what company you work for.
And it's funny you mentioned, it's good that you mentioned communication, because one of the things that was brought up in the panel was the importance of NGO partners to communicate. Is that true for you?
I think that's true for all of us on the panel, and I think that's true regardless of what sector you're in. I think making sure that you're maximizing your impact, that you are collaborative, that you're not having conflicting or redundant efforts, I think that's key no matter what sector you're in. I think today with everyone facing limited resources and ever-expanding problems and complexities of problems, having strategic teamwork and partnerships is critical, and not working in silos and looking at shared best practices to raise standards of practice, standards of care, that to me is critical. And I think everyone's looking nowadays for models of success that can be standardized but customized to the local communities of need where they're looking to be deployed.
So I think it would be fair to say then that it's one thing if an NGO or somebody similar comes to you seeking for support, it's one thing to bring a problem, but what really sings for Alcon and perhaps all corporate donors you need to bring a solution, a demonstrated solution.
I think that's exactly right. I think you hit on it with the last part, a demonstrated solution or a solution that has definite measure points.
Mm-hmm.
I think, everyone likes to see that this caused this, and if more was placed behind this, we could have a greater impact.
Mm-hmm.
I think those are what, it's very much like an investment. You want to see that your input, your resources, your investment of time and people is going to have a tremendous impact that will go onwards, that it's a self-sustaining, that ultimately that your initial donation or investment or volunteerism led to a much greater thing. I think everyone wants to see the feed forward or a virtuous cycle of engagement.
Mm-hmm. And one of the things you mentioned from the stage was that Alcon was going to do a little more in optometry. Could you perhaps explore that with us?
Well, we were always expanding our product and technology portfolio, so
Mm-hmm.
now we have a vision care component, and it's very important that we look to maximize the impact of what we do in the products we have.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we already have been supporting many optometric nonprofit organizations,
Mm-hmm.
and we're looking now at further engaging them on how we can be the best corporate sponsor and partner we can be.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's really why a lot of the meetings that I'm having at this conference is to better educate Alcon on how we can become an even better sponsor and further our resources to those organizations and missions.
Is there anything in the future that you think Alcon will be doing in CSR that our audience should be aware of?
Well, I think what we've demonstrated over the last 50 years is that we've been able to maintain our partners for decades and continue to include new partners, new ideas, and new innovations in the program portfolio. I think with the acquisition and merger with Novartis,
Mm-hmm.
they bring such a tremendous reputation and tools and experience with CSR that blending that and finding the best practices that we can apply to ophthalmology is going to be critical.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, I'm very excited for where Alcon is positioned, not just with an ever-expanding portfolio of products, but it's the people and the experiences that Novartis can bring in that I think is going to be critical. One thing that was launched through the Novartis-Alcon combination was something called the xova, xova program. You can go to the website www.xovaprogram.org, which is a competitive grant process which looks for innovative ideas and initiatives that will help deliver eye care, but also through education and sustainable practices.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something I want more and more. We had over 100 applications this year. I'd like to see it become more competitive, show more return so that we as the corporate sponsor can further our commitment to that cause.
Excellent. And you mentioned the website, and is there any other place that people can learn more information about Alcon or the foundation or the programs?
I think if you go to either company's website, you'll see very prominently displayed what we do and the CSR piece. I think that's part of our culture and something that we're very proud of, and we want to be very visible. I think what we do and how we do it is very innovative. The partners that we choose and the diseases that we approach, I think it's a very scientific approach, and those strategies have really paid off. So going to either homepage for either company has been probably the best way for people to learn more about our CSR programs.
Well, Doctor, thank you for your time.
Thank you. It's been
I wish
great.
we had more time to talk, but our time is unfortunately limited, and I know you have other things to do. So thank you very much
Absolutely.
for your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.